Finally, yes! Holy fuckaroli. Hey guys, welcome to another episode in the deep playthrough of Gran Turismo 7. I am absolutely elated with this win. This is, it sounds like it's a regular race. It's just the second race on Suzuka in the WTC 600, but it is, I put some limitations on myself and I really wanted to win it, and I've literally been at it for 2 full days. Today I think an hour and a half, yesterday 8 hours, the day before 8 hours. I have holiday, and my limitations were get into the Shelby GT350, that's the car that I'm using. It's stock, I think it's on medium sports tires. Initially in the, I'm not going to even upload that video, it's footage. It's a long footage with, man, I really have to catch my breath. I'm totally out of it. It was such a long journey, this. But initially, was that this race? No, no, I was thinking about traction control, but that was the previous race where that was in the rain, where I also put a limitation on myself, only setting traction control with 3 out of 5, which still in the heavy rain slits the car around a lot. But that eventually worked, but this one was way harder. I thought like, okay, this is dry weather. I will, just like usual, traction control 0. For the rest, the car is stock. I think it's on sports medium tires. I will double check that. And what else? For the rest, oh yeah, and I wanted also to, sometimes you can restart the race and you have like an RNG that the starting order is not so much different, but where the cars are placed on the in the race itself, where you overtake them, that randomizes a bit, which can be advantageous. For example, if you have a very fast car, that it's in a certain race setup, that it's being held up by a slower car or something. But I really wanted to win it with the dice that I got rolled, so no restarting. So I also kept the PlayStation on for like 2 days. I didn't shut it off, I just let it go to sleep in the race menu. But so yeah, it is no traction control, stock car, sports medium tires, and no taking advantage of restarting the race and hoping for a better race outcome. And it was just crazy because the 3 cars at the front, the RX-7, the NSX and the Supra, they were so much faster than the rest. And also the first corners of the first lap, trying to get past certain cars in a certain manner, which really helps with lap times, was pretty hard, so to say. So it was also a lot of restarts at the very beginning. But it's also really weird. I'm now looking at my time. My first lap was very quick, at 2:12.9. I never hit at 12. It's also really weird. The first lap counter, it is always like 3 seconds faster than all the other laps. While the first lap is the lap where you're starting from a very slow rolling start. In the second and the subsequent laps, you are hitting the start-finish line at full speed because you're already longer on the straights. So you would expect that the first lap is the slower one and then the other laps are faster. But somehow it's probably a timing issue, or maybe a certain section of the track is not timed, I don't know. But the first one is 2:12.9, which in this car for me is the fastest I've went. The second one was very quick as well, 2:16.7. That's a lap where you have to overtake a lot of cars, and normally I'm like in the 2:17.5 or so. Third lap 2:16.4, pretty quick, although I can hit 2:15s there. Fourth lap 2:15.9, pretty quick, and last lap 2:16.6. Yeah, I had to also pass by some cars, so that can affect your time, so pretty good. So overall, a quick lap. Yeah, there's just it's without traction control, even in dry weather, it is so easy to spin this car out. So, applying too much throttle, too much steering inputs, and you will just spin out. So that really is the name of the game. I think if you put traction control on, this is quite an easy race, but without traction control, it's a totally different matter. And also I was happy because sometimes the NSX in this race, in the previous race, the RX-7 I think was by far the fastest. In this, and the NSX sometimes as well in the rain, but in this race it was the Supra. Once the Supra was up front, he even pulled quite a significant gap on the NSX and the RX-7. And that was also in this run. So I was like, God damn it, I can maybe get the NSX and the RX-7, but then I will not be able to catch the Supra anymore. It's too far ahead. But somehow it slowed down a bit or something. I was able to get it. It was crazy. So the overtake with the Supra, it really was do or die. It was not the most clean one because I overtook him in the hairpin at the back. And there was some contact. But yeah, I'm really not gonna bother about that. I've been at it for more than 16 hours. Constantly only this race. So I really took my chance. And also I did, of course, do a little bit of cut tracking in the middle section. But yeah, otherwise it is, for me, probably for Igor Fraga, the guy in third, he's a real life guy. He is so quick, he can probably do it blindly. But for me, this really was a hell of a ride. So I'm gonna check the replay quickly. And we'll give some pointers for anybody who will do this race in the same car. Here, you see I drove, I think I'm not sure if I yesterday restarted the PlayStation. I do think so. So it's more than what you see on screen, but what you see on screen now is 1400 kilometers, 1500 almost. Since I booted up this race, I think it was even more because I may have, after the first session, indeed shut down the game. I'm not sure anymore. But anyways, let it be 1500 kilometers. That's quite a lot. Man, the thing is, I was not even sure whether it was doable. I do think so, because I was like sometimes finishing third or even second 1 or 2 times. And then I looked at my times and I was like, okay, it are not the greatest times. So if I do 5 laps really good times, and you have maybe a little bit of luck with how the 3 cars at the front battle each other and are a little bit slower, I really was like, okay, it could maybe be possible. And my car, it's 591 pp, it's a 600 pp race. Yeah, so it's not that I have a really slow car, but it's totally stock. I didn't adjust the suspension, for example. This car has quite a lot of body roll. So yeah, I was not even sure, because I do think if you are in too much of an underpowered car or not set up right, that some races are just not winnable. And this one, I really was not sure. It really was an edge case. Like, okay, it could be winnable, but maybe it's also not winnable. But I'm really happy that I persevered for 16 plus hours. Alright, here, just before that side entrance, you brake a little bit. Like for 1-2 seconds full braking, and then you let the car roll, maybe mid-throttle over the curbing. All these curbings, I find that if you're on them, they act a little bit like glue. You have a little bit more grip, I would say, than if you're 4 wheels on the tarmac, so to say. So hit this curb, then straighten out the car here a bit, and don't fully brake, because you're still in like a cornering motion. If you now fully slam the brakes, you will spin out. So very gradually but firmly decelerate further here, and then roll into this one and steer from wide to a little bit tighter, because the corner also tightens up a bit. You really want to hit it over here, like indeed that's its final section of the right curbing you want to hit, and then open up the steering, open up the throttle, and get on the power as soon as possible. Maybe if possible, where needed, make use of the full width of the track and the curbing to the left. And then over here, this is indeed where what often went wrong, that I didn't take that first corner because it's quite tricky. There are two corners, but you have to take them as one corner, that first one, the first and the second corner. It's often that I was a little bit too slow there, and then you're not set up correctly for here, because if you're a little bit slower, you cannot pass this car until much later, and that really gets you out of the momentum. So you really want to pass this car over here. And there's I found that I was just reading up a bit on the on the Suzuka track. Indeed, this first corner, you barely, of the first left the first left corner of the SS, you barely need to brake. You only need to lift off. Sometimes I tap the brake a little bit to get a little bit more weight on the front wheels and get a bit more steering momentum, grip. But yeah, only lift and then get him on the inside here. Yeah, I cut the corner a little bit, but otherwise there's no way around. You cannot go on the outside and keep momentum. You cannot brake and stay behind him because he's way too slow. So if you really want to keep momentum, this is the way to go. It is possible if you really do that first corner super quick that you don't need to even cut track here, that you really are on the curbing only. And then over here, the second S, you do need to tap the brakes a little bit. Tap the brakes to get the front wheels loaded up and more grip on the steering front wheels. And then it's a tight corner and then it opens up a bit. So you have to again, be on the curb, because to me, at least it seems, maybe it's a placebo effect, but provide a little bit more grip, a bit more glue-like effect. Steer a little bit more than you would expect, and then you are set up better. If you steer less, then you're constantly fighting understeer, you go wide, and so you really want to exit this corner as much to the right as possible so that you can straighten up the car, and in this little mini straight apply full throttle. So here full throttle, and then over here, so the first S to the left, lift off, second S a bit braking to because it's a little bit sharper. This one you can sometimes I lightly tap the brake to get a little bit more the car settled down, but also mostly only lift off. And keep steering again tight over the left hand curb, over the left curb. Then normally you can already pass this car a little bit earlier, like 10 meters earlier approximately. But once you exited that left-hander, there's also like this mini straight here. Try to apply throttle. It's not only keeping it lifting off. No, you do always, every second that a meter that you can apply throttle, try to apply throttle. That's really, you need to keep the pace. That's clear. That's key. Here, so the first left-hander is lift, right-left as second corner is a little bit brake. Left-hander that we just came out of is lift. This one again is brake. This one is pretty similar to the first right-hander in the SS, in that you have to brake and it starts sharper and then opens up. So again, brake, keep steer more than you would expect, because it is really like a little kink. And again, you want to hit this one as much to the right as possible, because that allows you to have room to straighten up the car and apply throttle up to the last left-hander that is coming up. This one is basically the same as the first of the SS, but a bit longer and bigger. So brake, stay sharp on the curbing, and then lift off indeed, or a half throttle or something. And then over here, try to apply the brake, and here slight tap on the brake, lift, and again it is first sharp and then it opens up. So you really want to get the car in the right direction as soon as possible so that you can open up the throttle as early as possible. So sharp, brake, brake, and over here it is not like the initial brake, the steering, when you're steering quite a lot, you cannot think, oh, I'm going uphill, maybe I have good momentum, I will just slam the throttle and power out of here. No, you will spin, so you really gradually have to apply the throttle to avoid spinning out. But often you can apply here, it's a very delicate balance. You can apply throttle earlier than you would expect. It's just really hard to gauge because you can, this is a long winding left-hander, but it's quite wide, and in the initial first half of the corner you're going wide, 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 but at one point you are going, when you're steering and also on full throttle, you're actually not going wide anymore, you're going left, left, left. You have enough grip to actually, and the corner probably also loosens up, so to say, so it's less tight anymore. But so go on the throttle, allow the car if needed to go wide, and then approximately a little bit before where that Lamborghini Gallardo, I think it is, or Huracan, there you're still over there at full throttle applying left steering input, and then you will get to the next left-hander, to the left hand curbing. You have enough grip to actually go where you're steering instead of fighting understeer and going wide like here, even if you're applying left steering input, if that makes any sense. So straighten up, full throttle, and here left, 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 and you see we are now inching towards the left hand side of the corner. And here, full throttle, just hug the inside, and this is where I cheated a little bit, but the problem with this corner is, especially, and I also did it by the way, when there were no cars in front, so I did cheat a bit, but if you don't cut the corner a little bit, then there is really no way to get past these guys in an efficient manner, because they're much slower. Either you brake fully and get stuck behind them, and then every seconds that you lose, you cannot gain anymore on the first placed cars, like the 3 cars, the Supra, the NSX and the RX-7. So you really, from lap 1, you absolutely need to make no mistakes. It needs to be 5, doesn't need to be totally perfect, but 5 very quick laps. Otherwise, you don't have a chance to get the first place cars. So to get by these cars while still keeping some momentum, yeah, I don't think there's a way. Maybe if you're very well, you can go around the outside, but what I do is, after the 100 meter sign that we just passed, briefly tap the brakes to get the front wheels a little bit loaded up, and then very shallow, do cut the corner a bit and keep your eyes on the straight just after the corner, on the left hand curbing that you see very faintly on the screen now, that white line to the left of the tarmac after the corner. Try to yeah, aim for that, but really already you're aiming to hit that really all the way to the right if you see after the cornering that little straight. So yeah, it's a bit hard to explain, but if you brake late and then think, oh, I'm slamming the steering wheel to the right to get my car positioned right for that for this corner, you will spin out here. So you really you will start to, maybe you will make the corner, but then your car is unsettled for that straight after the corner. So you really want to have a line where you do not apply too much steering input to be able to keep the car planted after the corner. So here, yeah, I do cheat a bit, but yeah, I don't see any other way, to be honest. And over here, just brake, I keep it in 4th, I guess. I'm maybe on the brakes a little bit late. Yeah, you can really get a little bit tighter over this right hand curbing. Over here I also keep it in a higher gear, so I can really slam down the throttle earlier. If you're in a lower gear with this steering momentum that you still have, there's a big chance that you will spin out. So I just keep it a bit in a higher gear, and then as soon as possible straighten up the wheel and apply full throttle. Over here I barely for a fraction of a second lift off to just keep the car, to get a little bit of the weight to the front of the car, to give a little bit more steering grip. And then once the curb to the right ended, here you apply full braking. And back 2 seconds, sharp steering input to the left, and very gently open up the throttle, because you will spin out here without traction control. So again, this is all without traction control. If you put traction control to 1, I'm sure it will be much easier. You can just slam the throttle and the computer will make sure you will keep grip. But without traction control you will spin out. So very gently open it up. Once your right wheels are on the curbing, you can slam the throttle, because again, in my experience, this curbing just provides a bit more, these curbs, a bit more grip. So full throttle, this is all full throttle. Be careful not to oversteer the car here, because you want to keep full throttle, and once the back end starts to slide here, you have to lift off the throttle, etc. You lose a lot of momentum, because it's quite a long, it's not a straight, but it's basically a straight. It's a very faint right-hander where you really want to be constantly full throttle. So full throttle, full throttle, full throttle. Steering input, full throttle. And just before the 100 meter sign, brake and shift down 2 gears. And then here roll, lift a bit through here, and over here already I'm going a little bit wide here actually, I don't know why, but half throttle to full throttle in this little section, and then over here again brake. This corner I don't really have it well down yet, even after 16 hours of doing this lap, but brake, and then again the corner is sharper at the start and then opens up. So keep lifting off a semi-throttle or something, keep hugging the insides, and then over here it's really, sometimes you can even, if your car is positioned in the right direction here, you can already power out, not like a 0 to 1 throttle pedal to the metal, but opening it up quite quickly. In a controlled manner. You can do that earlier than you think, and it's a very important corner because there's a long straight afterwards. And you really want to make sure to use the width of the track here, so don't shy away of using the curbing to the right. So keep hugging the inside, and earlier than you think you can open up the throttle and allow the car to go wide, because you cannot open up the throttle if you have too much steering input. Like the amount of steering I currently have, I cannot open up the throttle. That will just, even in third or fourth, it can spin out the car. You only really apply full throttle once you, I don't know, you have like 20 degrees of steering input or something, but really the steering must be more or less straight, otherwise you will spin out. So here, now I am starting to throttle out of here, full throttle. And yeah, you see there was still a little bit of a correction. The car started to slide a little bit, but don't shy away of using this right curb here. Really focus should be on getting on the throttle as soon as possible without sliding. I didn't do it that well here, but without sliding, because sliding just loses your momentum. It costs you time and speed no matter what, but so try to avoid that here, and it's an important one because we really have a long straight coming up. Full throttle, full throttle. And then over here at the 100 meter marker, I brake for, I don't know, a second and a half. get some speed scrubbed off, and I try to aim for this very fast left-hander to get the wheels, the left front tire, really on the apex of the corner. So that's like the middle of the left curbing, which is really hard. It's very easy to either go a little bit too deep into the grass, or you go too wide, or you're not braking enough and you're just going wide through that corner. You really want to maybe preferably over brake a bit here than too little, because if you go wide you lose more time, I think, than if you maybe over brake is slightly bit more. But again, an important corner, because you really want to carry as much speed through this left-hander as possible, because there's again a mini straight after it. So brake, and then here the semi-throttle or fully lift off. Just hit this corner, and again, once your wheels are on that left-hand curb, to me it seems to act a little bit like a magnet. So it also helps you make this corner. Once you are through here, don't shy away or not shy away, like always, make good use of the full width of the track. And over here, once the steering wheel is straightened out, apply full throttle again. Here, full throttle, full throttle, full throttle. And over here, in between the 150 and the 100, depending on how well you took the previous corner, so how much speed you are carrying. If you really did the previous corner very well, I would say at 30% from the 150 meter, that is just behind the B pillar, to the 100 meter sign. You want to, if you're going very quickly, after 30% after the 150 meter, start to brake fully. If you're going average, then I would go 50%. So in the middle between the 150 and the 100 meter sign, apply the full braking. So brake, 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 and over here, you cannot go too quick, but you really want to avoid the green after this right-hander, the chicane, because that really barely has any grip. So you do have to take out speed, but keep the car rolling. Don't go like in a total snail pace. And also sometimes you maybe hit those little poles over there, those sticks in the ground. It's not a big deal. Fully brake until you have like the Hitachi Inspire the next. I see like that commercial or that banner to the left. Sorry. Brake until you get like, okay, I have sufficient speed scrubbed off, then lift through this one a little bit already, try to apply like 30% throttle here, and also here the green, if you're all four wheels on the green, you don't have to the left, it really doesn't provide a lot of grip, but you can abuse this corner quite a bit. You don't need to go only with the left wheels on the left curbing, but you can actually cut the corner slightly and go with the right wheels, or the middle of the car over that curbing. So the left wheels will really be a little bit onto the green patches. You still keep quite some grip then. So 30% throttle, go here, and then as soon as possible open up the steering wheel, and again try to make your wheels contact the right curb, because it provides more grip, I would say. There's less chance of spinning out if you apply full throttle without using traction control when your wheels are on one of these curbs, compared to just doing it with all four wheels on the tarmac. Maybe it's a placebo effect, I don't know, but for me it seems to work that way. Either way, you need to make full use of the width of the track to keep the car rolling. So hit for this right wheels on the curb and apply full throttle, and really steer the car over the curbing to the right here, that the car is positioned as well as possible for the the upcoming right-hander. So I think you're in third here, and then you're going in fourth, and often it's not like just keeping the throttle slammed and go from third to fourth, because then there's a chance that you're overpowering and you will slide out, or you start to drift here and you lose momentum into this right-hander. So when you go from third to fourth, once you hit fourth, very briefly, a fraction of a second, lift off the throttle a little bit, go from 100% to 70% or something, and then immediately back onto 100%. That is enough to settle the car down and yeah, keep the speeds, which is important, keeping the speed, because again, this is the long start-finish straight, and that then concludes the lap. Right, I'm gonna let it run because I'm curious for myself how it went and where I passed all the cars. So here we go. And again, it's a normal race. It's not even like the final race of the game anyways. It's just a WTC 600 second race on Suzuka. But with the limitations that I put to myself, or just that became a mini project in itself, like no traction control, untuned car, and don't RNG the race itself by restarting it and hoping that the cars are in a more favorable position. It was a nightmare. It was enjoyable because it really, it's for me really a learning moment. Like at the start I really thought this is never possible, I need to tune the car. But it is really a learning or a testament that just practice makes perfect, no matter how good you are. I'm really not the best driver, but I was able to eventually squeeze out a 1:12.9 in this first lap. And again, it's that first lap timing, it's incomparable to the second to the fifth lap, because there are like 3 seconds gap. I don't know what's going on there. There must be some timing difference between the two, but whatever. The first lap, normally I was maybe in the 14s, and then I got sometimes in the 13s, and then I was like, yeah, maybe 12 is possible. And indeed, this winning race, that's the only one I had the 12.9. So, but the long story short, perseverance wins today, and practice makes perfect. It's not a super clean race, but what can you do? Right, and here I go again with a little shortcut. I screwed up this corner a bit, I think. Yeah. Not that much. Anyways, I knew this lap was fast because the Supra in the rear view mirror, I got him before we had those two left-handers. I passed him. Sometimes I only pass him like at the start of this straight. So I knew I was passing the cars earlier. Also the GTR and the green Mercedes S/AMG in the middle or just after the S's, I passed those earlier than I normally do. Normally I pass them in that uphill left-hand corner, but now I really passed them at the start of that uphill left-hand corner. And the only problem is if you... this still went pretty good actually. But if you're passing cars earlier than you otherwise do, then it does force you to adapt. Because if you've been running like 50 laps, like okay, I passed this car here, I passed that car there, you know how to do it. But if you have to pass them in a different part of the corner or in a corner instead of on a straight, then yeah, it's new. So it's like, for instance, passing this car just before this high-speed left-hander, I really never did it. Normally I pass him over here on this little straight. But luckily that went okay. So, but there is really, if you have a fast lap, yeah, it really also forces you to adapt to new overtaking situations. This one, I didn't do that quick. I lost time there for sure. So that is also, and over here as well, that's also what makes me feel that it was doable. Even if I would have gotten close, but not win this race, then I knew, like, yeah, I screwed up some corners. If I do them all right, then I can get closer. But even if you don't do it fully perfect, you can still win it apparently. Oh yeah, I'm not really happy with that shortcut that I'm taking there, but again, I'm not spending another 16 hours to win this race without doing that little shortcuts. I mean, the others, I'm sure they are driving with the traction control, so I'm really at a disadvantage. Here, screwed it up, so I'm really making mistakes. That's what I mean, by the way, with what I said, if you go from third to fourth, lift off the throttle for a brief moment. That's exactly what you try to, the slide that you just saw is exactly what you're trying to prevent by lifting off momentarily. Because otherwise you will, there's, I think, the incline of the road and maybe the camber. It's very easy to spin out over there otherwise. Yeah, I really, you see over there, you see that Supra already pulling a big gap. So I was like, fuck it. I can maybe get into second, but first will never work. I'm really happy that I didn't restart or think like, okay, this is not going to work anyways. So. still cannot believe I won it. It's crazy. Now I really was, don't screw it up, don't screw it up. Luckily they held back a bit once you are in first. I really took it quite easy here. Here, almost screwed it up. Nice. Alright, I will watch one time because yeah, it's maybe a bit of a stupid episode, but for me this really was. I didn't spend as long time as the circuit experience on the Nürburgring. That really took me like a week and a half or something. But there I also went way under the goal time. I got a 6:28. That was just, I wanted to beat the time of the demonstration lap, which was way under the goal time. Anywho, what did I want to say? So this is not the longest race that I ever did or event. But the Nürburgring is of course like 20 times longer circuit. So, but the it still was. I'm really happy with it because I was not fully sure whether I would make it, and yeah. So at one point I really felt like crazy, like I'm doing in my holiday. I'm just 2 full days driving the same track over and over. So I'm really happy that it worked out. So I will be watching the replay one more time. Also, from the other perspective. From the outside. Supra makes an epic sound, by the way. How much am I cutting the track? Yeah, I'm cutting the track quite a bit. I wonder how much I save with that. I don't even think maybe that much, because yeah, I could have taken it, steering in a bit later, and then make better use of the width of the track, which I basically now am not using, of the curbstones. The reason also why I do this is that first lap where you have two cars driving here, that's the only way to get by them while keeping momentum. And I didn't really test any other method yet, so I was like, okay, that works. That's also one of the reasons that I wouldn't call it a habit, but I was like, okay, this works, let's not change it. But it was not really even that much with the idea of cutting the track and gaining time. It was more like, okay, I can get through this corner with a relatively high speed this way. But probably if those cars in the first corner didn't force me to use this line, I would probably have adopted the normal line, like getting a little bit later steering in and not cutting the grass like that. But anyways, I did cut the grass. so it does help quite a bit, that cutting the corner, I would say. Here, there we are. Yeah, or maybe it doesn't, but the thing is, this is such a high-speed corner, and you really can, if you want to keep the speed, there's no way. You have to take one line, and you cannot really go left or right and around cars. Oh, by the way, I didn't really need to go around cars. I was already in front, but it is... I wanted to say I took it now there because going around that RX-7 or overtaking them, but I also already overtook them earlier, so that was not the case. But yeah, I'm not happy with that cutting the corner, but it is what it is. Actually, yeah, we already, I think, saw the lap times. Where can you see lap times? My quickest is a 2:15, but the first one was 2:12.9. So that could be that maybe I'm looking at the lap times with the sim dashboard on my mobile. Could be that there's just an issue with the first lap. Maybe that was not a 2:12.9 but a 2:15.9. I'm just wondering. If I could hit the same lap times while taking that corner correctly. So I don't know what my lap times were. It were 2:16s or something, right? Maybe one 2:15.9, but the rest were in the 16s. That was crazy. Alright, I cannot now check it out, and I will probably also just leave it be. I just wanted to say, if I wanted to try, just do a time trial, or I cannot retry the race now, because then I have to win it again to be able to get to the next race in first place. But I just wanted to check out if I would take that corner without cutting the grass, whether I would also have been able to hit 2:16s. I do think I would be able to. It is just, I just steered in a little bit quicker earlier than otherwise. Otherwise you just steer in slightly bit later, and then instead of hitting the grass you hit the curbings. I don't think it's that much of a difference actually. But yeah, so I will just leave it be. It's 16 plus hours, 1500 kilometers for sure. I think there's even like 2 or 3 hours that is not counted in that, so it is it's more than enough, I would say. So next episode, I will leave this episode a short one, relatively speaking. Next episode we are going to go to Dragon Trail, and I think this one is much more doable. At least I think I read something about that. But maybe it isn't, I don't know. Maybe without traction control in this car it still is will be a total headache. But we will have to see. Let's see, watch a little bit the, I always find that fun. These background pictures, background shots, just to get a feel for the track from different perspectives. Alright, either it's very early in the morning or it's at sunset. I'm a little bit afraid of that RX-7. It's probably super quick over here. Really sounds a bit like Star Wars music, I find. Right, let's see what kind of tires I was using. Yeah, sports medium. Can I even adjust anything? No. Alright, we will be doing this one in the next episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you there. And for the meantime, let's quickly look at these beautiful shots. Really have to familiarize myself again with this track. It's been like more than a year and a half since I drove here. I know you have that chicane here, which is super tricky. Man, that helicopter is flying low. How does that work? Here, this is just after the chicane. Pretty cool. You see to the left, now not anymore, but you still saw that helicopter flying by. So it does seem to be different camera shots from the actual same scene. Anyways, now that helicopter shoots fly back to the right somewhere. I saw him, now this is totally different part. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you in the next episode. And for the meantime, don't forget, always do keep on gaming. Later.